All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are tackling a massive, and I mean massive, headache for pretty much anyone who creates content online. How do you make your data look good? We're going to break down a really interesting review of a tool called Instacharts, specifically looking at its wild $29 lifetime deal to figure out if it's actually the game changer it's cracked up to be.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You've got this fantastic, insightful data, but it's just stuck. It's trapped inside a spreadsheet, and the thought of turning it into something that looks professional and, actually engaging feels like a huge project. The review we're looking at today frames this problem perfectly.
And this is the classic dilemma, isn't it? You either waste hours of your life rustling with clunky spreadsheet software that just was not built for design, or you go the other route and shell out big bucks every single month for some super complicated business intelligence or BI tool that has a million features you're never, ever going to use. It is such a frustrating spot to be in, especially for marketers, bloggers, and small business owners. But what if there was a third option? What if there was a tool designed specifically for this one problem? Well, that's exactly where Instacharts enters the picture. It positions itself as that specialized solution built to bridge this very gap. So the promise here is incredibly simple and honestly really appealing. It's all about giving us a way to create professional, embeddable data visuals without that crazy high cost or the steep learning curve. But okay, what does low cost really mean here?
$29. And this is the number that just changes the entire conversation. We're not talking about $29 a month. This is a one-time payment for lifetime access through an AppSumo deal. That whole zero recurring cost model is a huge, huge draw. But of course, a tool is only as good as its user experience, right?
And this idea of focus is really at the heart of the tool's whole philosophy. The review we're drawing from gives major praise to the user interface for exactly that. See, unlike those all-in-one design platforms where making charts feels like an afterthought, Instacharts was built from the ground up for one thing and one thing only, making great-looking charts and doing it fast.
So the price is definitely right and the interface sounds clean and focused. But what can it actually do? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the core features that are actually driving these visuals.
Okay, so here's a quick look at the essentials. You get real-time data sync with Google Sheets, which is a massive deal. We're going to talk more about that in a sec. You get a whole library of chart types, not just the basic bar and pie charts, but more advanced stuff like radar and waterfall charts. And crucially, you can export in high-res PNG and, maybe more importantly, SVG for absolutely perfect quality. Plus, you can apply all your own brand colors and fonts. It's got the basics covered. But here's what might be its smartest feature, at least according to the review. When you first connect your data, the tool doesn't just sit there and wait for you to pick a chart. It actually analyzes the structure of your data and recommends the best way to visualize it. I mean, for anyone out there who isn't a professional data analyst, that is a transformative feature. It just helps you avoid common mistakes right from the get-go. But the biggest, most powerful claim of all is that live data sync. So naturally, the reviewer had to put it to the test. They set up a real-world scenario to see if it actually works the way it's advertised. The test was so simple, but totally brilliant. First, they connected a Google Sheet with some weekly sales data. Second, they designed a nice-looking, on-brand line chart. Third, they embedded that chart directly into a blog post using the live code. And then finally, the key step, they went back to the original Google Sheet and just changed a number. So what happened next? Well, this is the real wow moment. That's it. Within about 60 seconds of changing the data in that spreadsheet, the chart on the live blog post updated itself, all on its own, automatically. So the crucial takeaway here is this. You get a beautiful, mobile-friendly chart that you can basically set and forget. Think about it. Your weekly report, your sales dashboard, your website data, it all stays current without you having to manually export and re-upload a single image ever again. That is a massive, massive time saver. Okay, that live sync feature alone is something you'd expect from a professional-grade tool. So let's circle back to that crazy price tag and really put the financial value into perspective. When you put it up against a popular alternative like Canva Pro for charting, the numbers are just stark. Canva can run you about $180 a year. Instacharts, through this lifetime deal, is a one-time cost of just $29. The savings, even in just the first year, are over $150. And the review really drives this point home. After that first year, you're literally saving $180 year after year after year. The return on investment here is pretty much immediate and it's permanent. But of course, cost isn't everything. What about the feature trade-offs? So how do these tools really stack up? Well, Instacharts is all about specialized data visualization, while Canva is more of a multi-purpose design suite. And that killer feature, real-time data sync, that's a big yes for Instacharts, but pretty limited for Canva. What about a high-res SVG export for perfect, crisp quality? Again, that's a key advantage for Instacharts. See, this isn't about one being better overall. It's about one being much, much better at a very specific and very important task.
So, with all that in mind, what's the final verdict from the review? Is this a tool that absolutely everyone needs to go out and buy right this second? And maybe more importantly, who is this thing really for? Okay, let's be balanced here. The pros are crystal clear. That true live data sync, the clean and focused interface, professional SVG export, and of course, zero recurring costs. The cons are just as clear though. This is not a heavy-duty business intelligence tool for complex statistical modeling. The basic tier has row limits, and it doesn't do anything but charts. No photo editing, no general graphic design. And this really brings us to the most important clarification. The review is very clear about this. Instacharts isn't trying to be a Canva killer. It's an alternative for a very specific job. If your main goal is data visualization, it's positioned as a superior engine for that one specific task. And here it is, the final, definitive conclusion from the source material. It is a must-buy, but with a condition. It's for the person, the marketer, the agency owner, the blogger, whose primary need is exactly what this tool delivers: fast, professional, and live updating charts. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your own reports, your blog posts, your client dashboards, is a chart that updates itself the missing piece that could save you a ton of time and make your content way more dynamic? Based on this analysis for just $29, it is a really powerful argument to consider. Thanks for tuning in.